TheDrive recently sat down for an interview with the CEO of Dodge, Matt McAlear here, and the conversation initially started with talking about the Viper and the idea of a new one. And he said, is there a need? I don't know if there's a need. Is there a want, a desire, and a market? I think, yeah. I think there's a market for two things. There's a market for an entry-level halo and a top-of-the-line halo. So first, great to hear that there is, a potential of a new Viper. I don't know if this is a pipe dream or something he actually thinks they could build a business case around, but exciting to hear that, the possibility is open. He didn't just immediately shut it down or something. This sounds like that is something he thinks there's a market for, but also an entry-level halo is a far more interesting proposition for most people. And so TheDrive pivoted their discussion to focusing on that. So when they asked what kind of vehicle he's talking about, he said, I don't know what I'd compare it to. I think there's inspiration in seeing what some of the power sports companies have done. Not only the crazy side-by-sides, but the three-wheelers, the slingshots. I think there's something there. Everyone has so many hobbies these days, they want to spend their money on so many different things. It's tough to be all in on one thing, put all my chips in one basket and say, I gotta have that car. It's great for those who can afford it, but not all of us can or want to do that. So when questioned about the price point of said entry-level Halo vehicle, he said a sub $30,000 mark is what he had in mind, adding, I think there's a market for people who just want to have that weekend car again, who would like a Viper, but don't have that $100,000 or $120,000. Something that doesn't need all the safety features, doesn't need the heated seats, just a car. I think, a lot of people were thinking he's talking about something like a Miata. That's what TheDrive was suggesting, kind of what I was suggesting as well. But even that has heated seats and safety features, all the safety features really. So it's interesting that he seems to be thinking about something even simpler. And so obviously great news, and I agree, if you watch any of my live streams, we often talk about how, someone needs to have a car company that has bare bones stuff with roll-up windows, like a really truly basic car, and that extends to sports cars or just, a car that, does all that kind of stuff, a brand that has that, for every segment. But great to hear that he's open to something that bare bones, and I think a lot of enthusiasts would really get behind that, again, especially for a weekend car, not something you're daily driving. But that's great. And so the last small sports car that Dodge made a concept about was the Dodge Demon from 18 years ago, believe it or not. I remember when that thing came out. A Miata-like vehicle with Dodge attitude, could be an accurate idea of what he's got in mind, and, obviously would have more updated styling from that, old Dodge design language, but, gives you an idea of, maybe the vibe of something like that. But he did clarify that if we're going to do future products, we need to get original like the Viper. It's got to come to market and be unique and different and Dodge. Not a Corvette fighter, not a Mustang fighter. So it's good that he added that clarification for people that thought, oh, maybe they're going to do something smaller than the Charger and it's going to be, some muscle car or something. It's not like, that doesn't seem like that's what he's really thinking about. So, we'll see. Now, based off this interview, this all currently just sounds like wishful thinking, like, ideas of a plan, not so much like him referencing anything they're actively working on closely. Maybe he's good at poker and they do have something actually already in the works. But I think, it's at least something clearly that he has thought enough about and has done a little bit of research to, at least feel like there is potentially a market there for these types of vehicles. I don't think he'd just say that, completely obliviously. I think he, probably does have a little bit of info there, but we'll see again if this leads anywhere. And again, we have to remind ourselves about the situation Stellantis is in right now. And Dodge, Dodge, is coming off of having, tons of Charger and Challenger sales. And now they're, facing, almost no Charger sales currently, at least until the Hurricane version comes online. They're struggling with Hornet. They are definitely in a struggling position. And sure, us enthusiasts love to hear about, all these sports cars potentially coming someday. But they really just need some wins right now. And I think, focusing on a, neon revival or something like that probably makes more sense, again, for the survival of the company and Stellantis in general, which is all, struggling, before we start, being able to build business cases for little, thin profit margin sports cars. And, the Viper could certainly make sense if that's a high margin kind of high profit vehicle. I think if anything, even though the conversation didn't focus on that, I think we'll probably see the Viper first if any of this stuff ever becomes reality. Because that's, again, easy. You just, build in all that into the cost and, charge a huge amount of money and people will collect them, and it, always kind of solves itself there. But anyway, we'll keep our fingers crossed for the cheap one, and very fun to hear that.